Hi guys, Jordan from P&P Campers. Just going to do a handover video on this Autosleeper Pollensa. So it's a W reg, so that's sort of 2000, I think, the year. And we're on the Peugeot Boxer. This will be, I believe, a 2.3 turbo diesel. Or it could be a 1.9 actually. I think it might be a 1.9. I'll take that back. Right, so first thing we're going to show you is under the bonnet. So we've got the engine battery on the left hand side over here. Got your brake fluid attached to the servo just behind it. Power steering fluid here at the front. You got your engine oil dipstick, and your engine oil filling point is this one just here as well. So you undo it from these, twist it open. Further over, we've got your engine coolant reservoir at the top, air filter, and your washer fluid reservoir on the right. Chassis plate is just here in the middle, so that's your silver chassis plate there. That's the actual one that you need to look at, with the weights and axle weights and things like that. Not much else to show you other than that. On the front near side wing, we've got the diesel filling point just inside there, so diesel goes into that one. Next locker we get to is the gas locker. So the gas locker itself is very simple. You've literally got one 6 kilo propane bottle in here at the moment. To turn the bottle on, go anti-clockwise around to the left until you can't go any further. Like that. And that'll be the bottle completely on. When you come to turning it off, obviously it's clockwise around to the right until you can't go any further. Storage locker for underneath the seats just there. We have got an external mains socket just here, so as long as you've got your mains cable plugged in on the other side of the van, you should have mains power coming out through that socket. You've got the full-size Omni-Store awning running across the top of the van just there. The winder for that is at the front, and you literally just twist it open and then you'll have some legs come down from that. These two vents just here are both to do with your fridge. So if you had the fridge lit up on gas, you should feel warm air coming out through this top little right hand side of this vent, and that'll just basically double check that it's definitely working basically. The back of the van is not a huge amount to show you, to be honest. You have got the original sort of factory fitted mounting points for a bike rack if you wanted a bike rack fitting just there. They used to sort of fit these from standard. I don't know for a fact if they were fitted from standard, but I would imagine they probably were. So that is where you would probably mount a bike rack if you were to do that. The original ladder to get up onto the roof, it's not something you have to do, obviously, but if you did ever need access to the top of the roof, you can do it from there. It's nice and strong. Right, these two lockers that we are getting to at the back, offside, sorry, are both to do with the toilet. So if I just show you the top one first, if I twist this open, we'll then be able to get access to that, and that is basically where your flush fluid gets topped up from. So that's your pre-mixed pink fluid goes into that one just there. And below that we've got the toilet cassette locker. I have stupidly not opened this before the video, so I'll just do that now. Key in there and then unlock the door like that. So the actual toilet cassette itself, we can take this out by lifting up on the little yellow tab down the bottom and pulling it towards us. You'll then be able to take the cassette all the way out, and all you need to know from there is that you empty it out from this point just here. This does swivel out, so it's a bit easier to use, and then you've got a little yellow button just there at the back to hold down whilst you're emptying it out. Blue fluid, about a cap's worth of blue fluid, goes back inside this cassette before you push it back in. But once you've done that, push it all the way back in, and then you're good to go again. Right, so we've then got the electric hookup point. So this is where you would plug in your electric hookup, which will then allow you to use any mains powered appliances. It will also start up your battery charger, so the leisure battery will be fully charged all the time this is plugged in. So that is a nice handy thing to have plugged in if you can. So just down here in front of the offside rear wheel, we've got the freshwater drain off point. So if you wanted to drain out your fresh water, that is where you would do it from there. Freshwater filling point is just above that, so you can't really get those two mixed up. So if you want to fill up your fresh tank, you do it from that little black cap just there. Next door to that, we've got the Carver water heater. So this is where you get your water heating from. You have got a little drain bung for it just down here. Okay. So if you wanted to drain out the water from your boiler, you can do it from that little circular, valve just there at the bottom. Just gonna have another little look on the near side to see if I've missed where the wastewater drain off point is. Normally down here by this step. I'll have to have another little look for that later on. Alright, I'll have a little look for that later on. So the next thing I'll do is I'll just jump into the cab and show you what we've got going on in there. So these particular cabs are, generally speaking, quite straightforward, to be honest. So if we look down onto the actual door itself, we've got the manual adjusting windows. So that's on both sides, obviously. You've got your headlights on and off, so it's your side lights and then your main beam from there. You've got your headlight adjustments from this one. You've got an aftermarket horn switch just here, so at some point I reckon this horn on the actual steering wheel has given up, so that's been fitted down there. Your indicators from this one here at the front, and basically your headlights aim, if you wanted to flash and all that sort of stuff, you do it from this back one here. You've got your 5-speed manual gearbox from the gear selector just there. Reverse is down to the bottom right hand side. Hazard warning lights from the switch just here. All of your standard kind of heater controls just down there. The radio front is just inside the little glove box just there, and you do have a nice little cup holder down there if you want to use that as well. So the bonnet release handle is just here above the clutch pedal where I'm pointing, just in case you didn't know where that one was. And that is about it for the cab. So just going to swivel around now and I'll show you through to the back end of the van, probably the more interesting part really. So what I'll do is I'll just show you through the control panel area, which is this part up here. First thing though, I will just sort of briefly show you through the layout of the van. So this is a really popular layout, especially on this kind of Autosleeper. This is a really classic layout. So you've got the overcab bed up there, pulls towards you and then makes into a nice big double bed. We've got the full-size table and sort of 2 seats just here with the actual 3-point seat belts there over the shoulder belts. So it's properly, chassis mounted seat belts and all that sort of stuff. And we have got the long single settee here as well. So the idea is that you can use this as a 4-berth by using this seat here and these 2 up here, or you can use it as a 5-berth using this single bed here as well. This does actually pull out a little bit as well, so you can make it even bigger. But yeah, so it's up to you how you want to use it. Various configurations you can do. I'm just going to turn this heater off for a sec, because it has heated up really quickly. Right, so control panel. So the control panel in this vehicle is, well, it's they don't really come much more simple than this anymore. So what you've essentially got, you've got the main control panel up here on the top right. This is a Zig unit, as you can see there, Zig. These were kind of like the industry standard back in these days for the control panels. You can see there, Autosleeper, so this is the original one. So essentially what you've got a master switch just here. So this is your main sort of 12-volt on and off switch. So all the time that you've got that switched on, you'll be able to see the battery voltage in your leisure battery. And we can see there at the moment, if I just zoom in a touch, we can see there we're over 13 volts. So anything above about 12 volts in any sort of 12-volt battery means that it's being charged. You can't really get any more than about 12.5, 12.7 volts in a leisure battery without it having some sort of a charge in it. So the fact that that's there up on like 14 means that we've got the hookup cable plugged in and the battery charger is working nicely. So that is your sort of, as soon as you turn that on, you can see the battery voltage at the top. When I press the water level button, it will then show us on the bottom scale the amount of water we've got in the fresh tank. So nearly empty. Okay, and then it just jumps straight back up to show you the leisure battery voltage. At the top, we've got a waste full little light. So if that lights up, it means that your waste tank's full and it needs emptying out. Below that, we have got these two here are sort of matched together. Okay, these two are matched, and essentially what they do is this is like your main sort of circuit board, if you like. So this is your main switches for everything. So you've got lighting, water pump, this one's for the fan, for the heater, and these ones are all sort of miscellaneous. So basically, when you want to come into the van, you want to get all of your power on, turn your light switch on, turn your fan switch on, and I would just turn these three on down here as well. The pump is slightly different because you only really want to use the pump when you actually want to use it. You don't really want to leave that on all the time, just in case it runs on by itself without you knowing. If a pump runs on by itself without you knowing, and it just runs on and on and on and on, it'll eventually it will just burn out. It'll just get too hot and it'll stop. So always a good sort of good practice really to use this pump switch as and when you need it. These two on the left just here are both to do with the boiler, so the hot water. So you've essentially got your gas option up here and your mains electric option down here. So if I've got the electric hookup plugged in like I do right now, I can use this switch just here and it will start heating the water up via the electric element. So that's when you're hooked up only. The one above it, as I said, is your gas option. So if I turn this on, get a little green light, and essentially the Carver water heater will light up on gas. If it doesn't light up, you get a little light come up in here at the bottom just saying that it's not lit. And if you haven't got enough power in your leisure battery to do it, you'll get a little light come up in the middle one. But as long as the top green light stays on and nothing else lights up, it means it's lit and it's working. Okay, so that's how you would use the water heater on the two different options. Now, as I say, now that I've turned the main power switch on, the master switch, and I've turned the lighting ones on, I can then go ahead and use the lights throughout the vehicle. That's all of the lights. There's various ones all the way around, but you can go ahead and use whichever ones you want. So what should I run through first? So obviously we've got the hot and cold tap on the sink. That's just basic stuff. You don't need me to explain that. The cooker. So you've got an ignition on here. So that's the ignition for the 4 burners, the grill and the oven. So that's all of that system there. Essentially just like a household one. As long as the gas comes through. There we go. All right, so that's literally all there is to it on those 4 burners. The grill, just make sure that you leave the door open when you're using that. And bear in mind that the grill's kind of like exhaust is this circular or oval part here in the middle. So please, please God, do not put this lid down when you're using the grill. In fact, it's good practice to leave the lid up when you're using, obviously, all four of these burners. That's probably really obvious. Obviously, all 4 of those burners, but definitely the grill and definitely the oven. Allow it all to cool down before you put that glass lid down. That's really important. Now, I normally say, don't worry too much if the glass does shatter because we can get hold of them. But I don't know for a fact if we can get these or not because they are a bit of an older unit now. We probably can, but you know, to save yourself a real job, just make sure that you allow this all to cool down before you put the glass lid down, otherwise it will just shatter. Okay, so the heater. So this is your water, sorry, not your water heater, I'm getting my words mixed up today. This is your space heater. Okay, this is a Carver 5500 Turbo, and it's a Fan Master, is the actual brand, or the model, if you like, of the heater. And this is like the boiler. You've got the option of using this on gas or electric. So what I'll do first is I'll show you how to use it on the gas first, because that's the sort of, well, this one just here, and then I'll show you how to use it on the mains afterwards. So if we want to light this heater up on the gas, all you need to know first of all is that you have to make sure that your gas is on in the cupboard outside. Once you know that your gas is on, you've got gas in the bottle, you can then come over to the actual heater itself and look at the right hand side of it here. So basically, to light it up, we twist this little valve round to the right, and you'll hear that we've got an ignition going. Okay, hopefully you can hear that on the video. Now you'll notice on the top of here, it's still not got a little green light on it. Okay, so I've twisted it around to the little spark symbol. The reason it's not got a green light and the reason that the flame hasn't lit up just yet is because I haven't pressed the valve down for the pilot flame. So when I do that, I press down for the pilot. You can see there, we've got a green light now, which means that the flame is on. And then all I have to do from there is lift up and twist it around. So it's still got a green light, and I can hear that the flame is now burning at the main flame properly. So that is it. That's all you have to do to light it up on gas. You can then select your sort of temperature, like so. But that's how you would use this particular fan master. When you want to turn it off on the gas, twist it all the way back round to here and make sure that your little green light goes out. Basically, the green light just means that there is a physical flame down there. So if there's no flame there, the green light will never ever come on. Okay. To the left of that, on the left-hand side of this, we have got a couple of other things. So this, because it's a fan master, you have got the option of a fan at the back of the heater. So what that fan does is it draws the air out of here, nice hot, burning gas air. Not that you'll get any fumes from the gas because that goes out the top. But basically it heats up inside there, heats this unit up behind here, and then the fan draws that heat out and pumps it around to any of the little circular vents that you'll have around the bottom of the floor. Now, I know there's one around this corner just here, and there's probably one in the bathroom there as well. So having the fan switched on is really handy. Now that's that first little one just there, that's your first option. You've also got the back here, if I turn this up, you can probably hear that the fan goes a little bit crazy and starts blowing a lot faster. And the other options we've got on here, because this is a mains and a gas optioned heater, we've got the option of using it on mains with no fan, mains with a little bit of fan, or mains with full fan. Okay, so they are your options there. So you can actually use the heater via the electric element, and it will just start heating up via your mains cable. All right, I'll switch that all the way back to the 0, and it will just then switch the entire thing off. So that is your heater, nice and easy. Right, above this, we've got the main wardrobe. Okay, now the wardrobe has got a couple of really important parts inside of it. So essentially what you've got is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to, yes, let me just double check something. Sorry, I'm just talking to myself there. I didn't do the hab check on this particular vehicle, so I'm just double checking something. So actually, I think I might have been telling a bit of a porky there. So let me just check something. Right, so I'll have to check the actual habitation sheet. What I'm talking about is this little switch just down here, below the boiler on gas option. This little switch here might actually be an isolator for the mains on the heater, rather than a on and off switch for the boiler on the mains. The reason that I say that, and I will double check this, the reason that I say that is that in the wardrobe, we've got a water heater 240 volt isolator. So yeah, so yes, for obvious reasons, this is your water heater switch because that's what it says on it. So when you're hooked up on the mains, this is the switch here that will turn on the water heater on the mains. Okay, I'll double check about that switch up there. I'm pretty sure that'll be an isolator for this heater, but I will check that, and I'll make sure that you know before the vehicle's sort of delivered or collected. To the right of that, we've got your main trip switches. So this is your plug-in systems trip switches, and it will have a little diagram below each one telling you what they do. So you've got mains isolator, sockets, fan master, and all that. So it tells you exactly what trip switch does what. So if you find that one's tripped one day, you'll be able to see which appliance it was that did it. You got a load of paperwork for the vehicle just in here, this inside this brown box just there, and we've got your gas isolators from this one here. So fridge, heater, boiler, oven. Okay, and if you want to isolate those, it does tell you how to do it on the top, but you just turn them 90 degrees and it will isolate that particular appliance. So the last appliance I need to show you is going to be the fridge. Now this is a three-way fridge, and it's an Electrolux fridge. One of the most common things that people can't work out just straight away is this little clip just here. So at the moment the fridge will not open. Okay, it's locked in position. When I press down on this little green button here, or squeeze together more like, it pops this little thing out, and you'll then be able to open the fridge. Okay, sometimes that does sort of confuse people a little bit, that one. So basically they make it nice and easy on these fridges. You've got, on the left hand side we've got the electric, and on the right we've got the gas. So on the right it's all to do with gas, on the left it's all to do with the electric. So if we are hooked up on the mains, I can press this little button here, the green button lights up, and that basically means that the fridge is now cooling down via the electric element, the 240 volt electric element. The red switch won't do anything at the moment because we haven't got the engine running. So the red switch needs the engine running to work, and basically all it's there for is to keep the fridge cold whilst you drive. So you need to make sure that you pre-cool the fridge either on gas or on mains electric before you leave, and then switch over to 12 volt just for when you're driving. You then got a temperature selector just here as well. All right, but that's basically all just the mains, the electronic side of it just there. Okay, so your mains electric and then 12 volt electric. So on the right, as I said, this is all to do with the gas now. Essentially, to light it up on the gas, you press in on your ignition switch. You can see the ignition switch is now flashing, and in person you'll be able to hear it clicking as well. You probably can't see the clicking on the actual camera. No, you can't. But basically, to actually light it up, so from this point here where you've got the ignition on, you need to press in and round to the left on your gas valve. If you watch down here, we should get a little blue flame. You see it somewhere in there. I don't know if you can actually see it on the camera or not, but there is a little tiny blue flame in there you can just about see. And basically, that's the way you light it up on the gas. That's how you know it's lit. Now, probably the easiest way to know that it's lit is the fact that when you leave this ignition switch on, if you're in the on position on the ignition switch and there's no ignition going on, it means that there's a flame lit. Okay, so the ignition will turn itself off when the flame lights up, so you don't have to turn this ignition switch back off. And in fact, I would recommend to leave the ignition switch on, because if the flame goes out, so if we imagine I'm not touching this valve just here, let's just say that the wind or something like that blows the gas flame out, the ignition switch will come straight back on to tell you that the flame's gone out. So it just stops you from being able to not realise that, basically. But yeah, so that's how you would light it up on the gas. That's all over here on the right hand side. And then, as I say, to the left, this is all to do with the electric side of it. Mains electric and 12 volt engine running. Okay. So I don't think there's really much else to show you, to be honest. There's not any more appliances that I need to run through. I will double check about that switch just there, and I'll get someone to let you know before the vehicle's delivered. But yeah, so I think I've covered everything. I don't think there's much else that I can explain. In fact, there is. I'll just ignore me on that front. I didn't open the bathroom door. I'm good at doing that. So the bathroom, there's not much to explain in here really, but I'll just show you through it. So we've got a light switch just here, which is waterproof, by the way. They put these nice little sort of rubber covers on them, so that is waterproof there. Hot and cold tap for the sink, hot and cold tap for the shower. I don't need to show you that. But the toilet, the actual seat there will swivel all the way around if you want it to. You've got a little handle up here which will pump around your flush fluid. Okay, and then you've got the grey handle at the bottom to open up to drain this into the cassette. So you can see there when I open that flap, everything from inside the bowl there drains into the cassette. And when I pull it back all the way, it closes that flap back off. And I will just point out as well, if you ever get into the position where you're outside the van and you're trying to take the cassette out, but it seems like it's locked and it won't move, it's because you've got that flap there in the open position. As soon as you come in here and close the flap back over, you'll then be able to take the cassette out nice and freely. So, I think that's it. So what I need to do, I need to find out where the wastewater drain off point is and what the switch just there does. As I say, I didn't do the hab check on this particular van, so I'm not 100% on everything. But I will find out for you and we will make sure that you know. So I don't think there's anything else I can point out. If there's anything you want showing over or anything else that you think I've missed, just give us a shout. But otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.